Have written the idea that women were oppressed throughout history is an appalling theory. They haven't had a great time though, have they?
Who has had a great time in history?
The men have had less of a...
Really? Have they? By what standard?
Well, I'm just saying if you're...
How about war?
Yeah, but it took longer for women to get the vote, and women belong to their husbands. It's like, aren't there some clearly obvious things that...
There are inequalities in the catastrophes that the genders are subject to. Everybody had it rough. You say, well, did men or women have it worse? It's like, well, that's a complicated question. But one of the things you can say is everybody had it pretty damn bad.
Oh, look! Another day, another attempt to debate one of the sharpest debaters alive. It doesn't go well for them. Jordan Peterson is like a walking encyclopedia with a PhD in sit down and be quiet. In today's video, we'll witness him shred woke nonsense faster than a paper shredder on steroids. Grab your snacks. This is going to be hilarious.
You cited freedom of speech in that. Why should your right to freedom of speech trump a trans person's right not to be offended?
What? Are you serious right now? Did they just pull that law out of a cereal box or what? Let's watch Jordan handle this mess with the patience of a saint and the precision of a surgeon.
Because in order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive. I mean, look at the conversation we're having right now. You know, like you're certainly willing to risk offending me in the pursuit of truth. Why should you have the right to do that?
So you haven't sat there and... I'm just trying to work that out. I mean...
Ha, gotcha.
You have got...
Oh, the classic trip over your own questions move. An absolute favorite of underprepared interviewers. It's like they're handed a script and told, don't worry about knowing stuff, just wing it. The result? Pure comedy gold.
I'm interested in people being able to have different choices and having equality of outcome.
Aha, well, so you're going to have choices and equality of outcome. What if people choose different things, which is what they've been doing in Scandinavia? What about bricklayers? They're 99% male, and men work longer hours. They're more likely to move. They're more likely to work outside. They're more likely to participate in jobs in the STEM fields that are scalable. They make more money for those reasons, and that's all hidden under the idea that the reason that men and women make different amounts of money is because of their gender. It's a very simplistic analysis.
Equality of outcome? Yeah, that's as realistic as unicorns delivering pizza. Women pick certain jobs, men pick others. It's called choice. But hey, let's all pause and watch this next interviewer try to untangle their confusion. Bless their heart.
Right, so you're saying that anyone who believes in equality, whether you call them feminists, call them whatever you want to call them, should basically give up because it ain't gonna happen.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I didn't say that women shouldn't be striving for the top or anything like that, because I don't believe that for a second.
Striving for the top, but you're gonna put all those hurdles in their way, as has been in their way for centuries, and that's fine. You're saying that's fine.
No, I really
The
think
patriarchal system
really
is
think
just
that's
fine.
silly. I do. I think that's silly.
Successful women, though, basically have to wear the trousers, in your view. They have to sort of become men to succeed, is what you're saying.
Certainly, masculine traits are going to be helpful. If you're going to be successful, you need to be smart, conscientious, and tough.
Well, here's a radical idea. Why don't the bosses adopt some female traits so that women don't have to fight and get their sharp elbows out for the pay rises? It's just accepted if they're doing the same job, they get the same pay.
The market sets the damn game. It's like...
And the market is dominated by men.
No, it's
what
not.
I'm
It's
asking
not.
you-
The market is dominated by women. They make 80% of the consumer decisions. That's not the case
What?
at all.
Wow, these interviewers are either clueless or auditioning for a role in Liar, Liar, the sequel. And for the second time, she gets called out mid-interview. At this rate, we should hand out medals for most awkward lies told on live TV.
You said you were a doctor.
I'm a psychologist, actually.
Okay, is that what you do for, a living?
Mostly I lecture publicly and write. I'm an author.
Okay, so you're like Hillary Clinton, where you get paid to, go places.
I'm more physically attractive than Hillary.
Had to slip this one, and Jordan isn't just smart. He's got the charisma of a stand-up comic on fire. But wait for it. The woke debater starts flailing, throwing insults like a toddler losing a game of tag. You might cringe, but you'll laugh harder.
Maybe you just think that women should be equally represented in the decision-making fora of our nation. Maybe that's really just about having proper equality in a body that's meant to be representative.
I don't understand your question.
Yeah, you're not alone.
I guess you don't. That's pretty obvious, unfortunately.
Well, how about if you phrase it more clearly instead of just insulting me? Look at it this way. Let's talk about quotas for a minute. So there's a very wide array of jobs that are fundamentally done by men. So for example,
Member of Parliament.
99.9% of
Sorry, Alex, I'm going to
bricklayers.
stop sledging you now, I promise.
Interrupting non-stop. Oh, sweetie, if losing was an Olympic sport, she'd be the gold medalist. Someone get her a mic she can drop. Because Jordan just snatched it out of her hands anyway.
99.9% of bricklayers are men. Should we have quotas for women?
Is bricklaying representative democracy?
That has nothing to do with the question. The question is if there's evidence of structural inequality and oppression because women aren't precisely represented at 50% in all professions at all levels, then why don't we have a conversation about having women represented in all professions at all levels?
Well,
why do we talk about the C-suite, for example? Why do we talk about politics and positions of power? Why don't we talk about it across the board?
Okay,
we're
sorry,
talking about
let's just
politics,
pause
not-
and...
Yeah, but that's because
We're
it's
talking
power.
about-
Equality of outcome? Sure, let's make everyone a CEO and leave the trash collectors to fend for themselves. Sounds fair, right? Pro tip, if you're serious about this equality gig, I'll see you bright and early at the garbage dump tomorrow. Gloves are on me.
You know how I stopped getting protesters to my events at university? I held them in the morning.
That's great.
I'm the Messiah. Yeah, really? Well, as long as you don't want me to get out of bed before noon.
Brilliant plan. Let the equality warriors sleep in while we're out here being unequally productive. Don't worry, the rest of us will hold society together while they dream about utopia.
Most of the data in all of the countries, come up to that conclusion that a woman who has the same position as a man.
Women and men who do the same job, the women end up getting paid less?
Yes.
When you control for everything else? No, sorry, the data's wrong. There's at least 16 reasons. Men work longer hours. If you work 10% longer hours, you make 40% more money. Men work in more dangerous positions. So there's a wage advantage for working in more dangerous positions.
You're saying that there were many different points that explain why we come up to that final statistic, but that if you look at the reasons why, then it's because men work longer, more than women, and
They work in more dangerous positions, they're more likely to work outside.
Oh, finally, a reporter with working ears and a functional brain. Let's give this one a standing ovation for actually listening. Compared to the others we've seen today, this feels like spotting a unicorn in rush hour traffic.
If you look and you say, well, on average, women make less money than men, which is also different than saying that they make less for doing the same work, because those aren't the same claims, then you have to say, well, what are the reasons that are contributing to that? You can't just say, well, it's a consequence of gender discrimination, unless you can only think about one thing at a time. And I would say that's another problem with the modern feminist. They can only think about one thing at a time.
Now, here's where the interview gets spicy. Jordan's at his breaking point, and you can practically hear him thinking, why am I wasting my time here? What follows is pure verbal annihilation.
You said that, and I'm really not trying to paraphrase you or to put words into your mouth.
You are trying that directly.
It is things that you said that you cannot deal with those.
Yes, but don't tell me that you're not trying to put words into my mouth. What is the purpose precisely?
I am quoting things that you said.
Why? What is it that you're trying to establish?
Because you said them.
I thought we were talking about masculinity.
We are.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
How are we talking about masculinity?
Because I'm asking you what you think of men and of women.
Basically what you've been trying to do, I would say for the last 15 minutes, is put me into a sequence of corners by accusing me of various forms of misbehavior. So why are we doing that? What's the point here?
These are things that you said. My job as a journalist is to ask questions about what you represent and the ideas that you defend.
Your job is also to select the things that you might ask about in some manner that doesn't indicate a substantive bias. You picked 3 things to talk to me about in the last 20 minutes that were very carefully selected. Why did you pick those things?
Because this is my job.
No, not necessarily. You could be asking me, for example, why I've spoken to 250,000 people live in the last 8 months. That might be more newsworthy.
Well, we're not going to have a big debate about journalism, but if a journalist doesn't ask the tough questions, how can you give the good answers?
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
But it depends on what the tough questions are. It depends on
I didn't think that they would be tough. We're talking about things that you said.
Yo, Jordan went full savage mode here. I'm almost feeling bad for the other side. Almost. But honestly, I'm dying to know what you think. Who won this one? It definitely wasn't the other guy.
You hire 50% women engineers and 50% male engineers, then the women engineers are less qualified because the pool of engineers is lower among women. So you can't hire 50% women engineers without producing a decrement in the quality of the engineers.
Well, in Iceland, an energy company was about to go bankrupt. A new manager came in and said, OK, we've got to throw everything out and start again, and made a conscious decision based on his belief that it's a human right that men and women are paid equally. And so went out of his way to make the workforce within that company 50-50. So we're talking about engineers, we're talking about tradespeople, and they certainly argue that they're not hiring second-rate women.
They might argue that, but if you did it on a large scale, that's what would happen. Because look, you think about it mathematically. If there's 10 times as many male engineers as there are female engineers, then obviously the degree to which the female engineers are proficient cannot be the same as the degree to which the male engineers are proficient. It's mathematically impossible.
So you're saying don't even try.
What's up with these interviews? It's like they've got a secret club where they all rehearse the same bad arguments. Breaking news. Jordan's already heard it and crushed it. Next!
Basically give up because it ain't gonna happen.
No, I'm saying something much more specific than that. Now, one company might be able to do that for a short period of time in one isolated location. But there, of course, if you have a new manager come in and he's doing all sorts of new things, there's 50 reasons why the company is going to fail or succeed. And you can say, well, it was because of the gender equity policies. It's like, yeah, well, it's a multivariate problem.
Exactly. No one knows what made that company successful. But sure, let's just speculate wildly and pretend we're experts. If you enjoyed this circus, there's more content on screen. Catch you in the next roast session.